electrolyte Gatorade, and then I read Sunrise on the Reaping to heal. I think I had to heal my
Oh.
mind and my body. So I did like the
You
1,
finished
2.
it?
No, I'm a little bit struggling, to be honest.
Yeah. Like, because it's like not as engaging or.
I think because so I read Hunger Games like way back when it first came out,
Yeah.
and I have reread it since.
Yeah.
Um, and then there was song the other
The song
prequel.
Ballads of Songbirds and.
Yeah, so there was that one which I saw the movie but didn't read, and now this other one, Sunrise on the Reaping, is for what a book club that I'm in,
Mm,
and I just think I'm having a hard time getting invested in the characters because I know what's going to happen to the majority of them.
true.
So, like when I read Hunger Games the first time, you have no idea what's going on. You're like,
Yeah.
does everyone really die? But
Yeah.
uh and I won't tell you what happens at the end of Hunger Games in case that's a spoiler warning. But it and I haven't finished. I'm about, I want to say 60 or 70% through Sunrise
Mm,
on the Reaping. So, and this Sunrise on the Reaping, for those who haven't read it, is about Haymitch's
Image, yeah.
story. So I have some thoughts, but now that they're like in the games, it's kind of amping up. So
Okay.
I'm leaving room for me to be like lovingly and happily surprised. But it's been a little tough.
Yeah.
What about what's on your, what have you been reading? What you been thinking about?
So, what am I am, hold on, what's it called? I'm like halfway through Empire of Storms.
Mm.
So I am there. And then I have something else on my Kindle. What was it? Oh,
Didn't
I'm
you just?
reading Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson.
Ooh, okay. That's Brandon Sanderson has been on our list for a long time. Look at you.
Yeah. I saw that it was available now, like on my Libby thing, so I can be able
Mm.
to kind of like borrow a book that's available now. And I've always wanted to read a book from him. So I really like this one so far. It's like not a big kind of like world building fantasy like his
Mm.
other books are. So I like it so far for
And
sure.
then didn't you just finish Dowry of Blood?
Yes, I finished A Dowry of Blood and I finished Bride. So I'm definitely in a
You're in
vampire
it.
mood.
You're in it. Well, and we were talking about Bride last night. We've both read it, and
Yeah.
we're into
We're into whatever's happening there.
yeah. We're into the content of that book.
Yes,
And
we're going to be finding more books that relate to the Omega verse as you
yes.
gave me the knowledge of last night.
Which, to be fair, I don't have a full in-depth knowledge. I have like skimmed the surface. So I think it's time for us to do some in-depth research for the research, of course.
Of course.
But we definitely now our minds are on the Omegaverse and on some vampires. And then once I'm done with Sunrise on the Reaping, I think I want to try Night and Moth. So
I also have that one that I maybe read, I would say maybe 15, 20 pages into it, and then I kind of like put a pause on it to read the Tress in the Emerald Sea one. That one I feel like is, I don't know, maybe it's just like the way it's like building up or something. It's a little bit slow, but
okay.
I will keep trying because I know we both have wanted to read that one.
Yeah. So lots to do. But
Yep.
first and foremostly, do you want to get this podcast rolling, girl?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
Hi, I'm Yarlin.
And I'm Katie.
And this is Fan Fables, a podcast hosted by two mental health counselors who take a psych deep dive into your favorite fantasy and romantasy books. Today, we are going to discuss part 1 of Empire of Storms, the 6th book in Sarah J Maas's Throne of Glass series.
I'm so fired up.
So excited.
I'm in the once you get to the last 4 books for me, like I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, this one was really good.
So we got some disclaimers and spoiler warnings. First of all, this episode contains spoilers for Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Assassin's Blade, Queen of Shadows, and the first half of Empire of Storms. And we lined it up with part 1 of the book. So part 1 of Empire of Storms is what we cover here. And in addition to those spoilers, we have several potentially triggering emotional or traumatic themes that may be discussed, which could be impactful or upsetting. Despite the fact that these are YA, a lot comes up. So please take care of yourself and use caution if you're not in a space to engage with emotional or traumatic topics. In addition, this episode contains adult language and discussions of sex and sexuality.
Yeah, and for their mental health disclaimer, this podcast is hosted by 2 licensed mental health counselors, but it should not be used to diagnose, treat, or address any individual mental health concerns or conditions. The knowledge, opinions, and experiences we express related to mental health are our own and should not be applied as treatment. This is just for fun. If you feel you need to take mental health treatment, please seek out your own individualized mental health care. So going over kind of the order of events of today's episode, we'll be going into our rankings and ratings, where we provide our ratings for the book, our plot and thoughts analysis, where Katie will lead us through the events of the book itself, while I will guide us in better understanding the psychology of the characters along the way. Then we will get into our teehee moments. Our therapy deep dive will expand on real world context, some character analysis, and lead our exploration of mental health concepts. And then we'll have our final reminders and social media shout out.
Yes, I am so excited. I'm going to hold my excitement in, but it's hard. It's difficult because I have many things I want to say about the first half of this book. So to begin with our rankings and ratings, Yarlin, how many stars did you give it and how many chili peppers? So give us a window into how you rated that.
Yeah, I did give it a 5-star. I feel like it's something that I have where if a book makes me cry, then it's in 5-star like territory for sure. So, I did have some emotional moments in just the first half of this book. So for sure, 5-star. Chili pepper was a number 2 for me because we did up the spice, but maybe after reading Bride, the spice isn't as compared,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I felt like definitely I noticed the shift from the first maybe couple of books to like the books that we're reading now. There is a more adult kind of situation happening now.
Yes. So I also gave it 5 stars. I also love to hear that because we were at 4 for Queen of Shadows and we're like bumping up to a 5. So I'm excited to hear that we're like simpatico on the 5 stars.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because all I've been reading is YA. Sunrise on the Reaping is YA.
Yeah.
I maybe gave it more credit than it's due, but I'm sticking to it. I gave it 3 chili peppers because if you remember from one of our earlier episodes, once I see a pepper, you get a pepper. Yeah, I even as I was typing it, I was like, I don't know whether put 2 or 3, but I feel like we've just been giving this series so much crap about this that I was like, I'll go for 3.
And it's just probably what you were feeling in that moment,
Yeah. And it remains to be seen. Maybe when I read another book, like when I get out of this YA sphere, who knows? I could come back next time with our part 2 episode, with different chili peppers. Who knows? But 3 felt right, and we're just gonna go with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So now that we have our star and our peppers all arranged, now it is time for plots and thoughts. And as always, Sarah J Maas makes it super easy with like 5 different POVs that I have to arrange. So what I've decided to do this time and again, this just made sense in my head. Usually I start with Aylin's perspective and then I pepper in like the other perspectives. This time around, it seemed to make more sense to start with other people's perspectives. They sort of have shorter storylines outside of Aylin's, and then to end with Aylin's, where it kind of like wraps up in part one of the book. So I'm gonna give you some perspectives, and then we're gonna go for Aylin's. And I want to start by just drawing a map for us all of where everybody is, because we are all corners of Aurelia. We are all over the damn place. So Alid and Lorcan, so Alid Locken and Lorcan Salvatore are in Oakwald Forest. They don't start together. They're traipsing different places, but they end up that way. Manon is in Morath. Dorian is in Rifthold. And I always say Aelin and Friends, which is Aelin, Adian, Lysandra, Evangeline, and Rowan, are just on the inside border of Terrasin, tromping through the woods and the rain. So we're all hither and dither. Everybody's all over the place. And I thought it might be fun to start with Alid and Lorcan's perspective. They kind of get a little bit more airtime, I think, than you saw in previous books.
Yeah.
And I'm interested by them. I'm interested by their story in this first part. So let's start there. So we begin the story with Alid, who's been dropped off by Manon. Manon dropped her off in the middle of Oakwald Forest, said, head north, here's a knife, you got this, girl. And then
no like food, supplies, nothing. Like, poor girl.
Yeah, she was underprepared for sure. In Manon's defense, they were also like fleeing, and there was a lot going on. So Manon didn't have a lot of time to make sure she had everything she needed. But she was like, head north. I think in Manon's mind from in the previous book, she was like, oh, Alid's gonna head north, hit up with Aelin pretty quick, and then she'll be fine.
I feel like it's a journey to get there. So.
Oh yeah. So Alid's wandering through the forest, trying to get to Aelin, and interestingly, also finds Selena Sardothian. She does not realize that these are the same people. She's like, I gotta get to Aelin, and then Aelin will help me find Selena. And I'm like, yes, she will, girl. And with her is one of the word keys. She's got it tucked in a little piece of what was originally Aelin's cloak that was given to Kaltain. Kaltain gave Alid the sliver of the word key. And so she's just carrying it around. This human woman with no fighting skills, malnourished, and also with a bad ankle. Like,
and this ankle too.
She's the one who's like holding the fate of one of the word keys in her hands. And you know what? She's got a fighting spirit.
I like an underdog moment, you know?
As same. So Alid's tromping through. She's foraging. She's finding berries. She's keeping the word key safe. She's the one thing that I think one of the biggest strengths with Alid is her perceptiveness and her like survival instincts. And she's also, it says several times in this book and in the previous books that Anieth, the god Anieth or Aneth, I'm not sure the pronunciation, guides her or sort of taps her on the shoulder here and there. I think she's got some help from a god or goddess, so that helps.
Spiritual guidance.
Yeah, like a little guardian angel just pushing her along. And who should she run into but Lorcan? Lorcan thinks he has a word key in the amulet of Orinth. It's a fake amulet of Orinth, but he doesn't know this. And he starts tracking her. He's trying to hunt down the witches so he can get to the Morath to get to the key, the other word keys. And he smells her kind of on the wind. He's like, she's part witch. So he's like, this woman might lead me to the witches. So he's tracking her and she could feel that somebody's watching her, but she's not skilled enough to figure out where it's coming from or to do really anything about it. So she keeps tromping, Lorcan's sneaking through the shadows, and as they're going along, they are set upon by the Ilkin. The Ilkin are looking for a lead because one, Vernon and Duke Parrington, i.e., Erewhon, want her for breeding purposes because of her witch blood and her magical lineage, and now she has this word key. And so they attack, and both Elide and Lorcan escape, but they make a deal with one another. And there's a lot of back and forth between them. And Elide's like, "I don't trust you," and he's like, "I don't think you have a choice." And so Lorcan will escort Elide to Aelin, or I think to Terrasen at the very least, if she tells him what she knows of Morath. He wants to have more info going in so he doesn't get his ass handed to him upon arrival. So, and interestingly, Elide, when Lorcan asks for her name, she gives him her mother's name, Marion, instead of her own. So he's calling her Marion this whole time. I'm just going to call her Elide because that makes things confusing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So they shake hands, they make the deal, and they travel across the Acanthus River to a town where they hope to link up with a carnival troupe. They're like, if we could just hide out as carnival folk, then
I do love that part because I love carnivals and clowns and stuff. So I thought that was a very interesting take to go in this book.
I remember your affinity for spooky clowns.
Yes, I do.
Well, neither of them are a spooky clown in the carnival, but they do join the carnival, and Lorcan does knife throwing and like knife tricks. And what I find so hilarious about this, he's not a performer, and he like doesn't give a shit about anybody's opinion of him, but he's so good at knives and he's so ripped that all the town leaders are like, "Ew, look at him," and he's like, "Oh my god, you like simpletons." And then Elide tells fortunes, and she, given her skills of perception and kind of playing to people's biases and stuff like that, actually kind of works out for her. So, in order to keep Elide safe from the unwanted attention of others on the road and of Adarlanian soldiers and things, they pretend to be married. And what's interesting here is that you pretty quickly see some level of protectiveness and connection with Lorcan and Elide. Now, they don't. Some of that is to play into the role for sure, but I don't know. They start noticing each other. They're clocking each other, and Lorcan sees how smart and perceptive she is, and he watches her just be like a schemer, and he's like, everybody's falling for this shit. Look at her go. And as they go along, she provides him with honest information about Morath, and he really does a good job of protecting her, and he'll even like brace her ankle when it's really hurting badly. And so there's like a good sense of like teamwork that comes out of them getting to know each other.
Yeah, and I mean, already the way that it's set up of a fake marriage, we're set up for something that could be something there.
Could be.
So I definitely kind of like clocked their interactions where it's like, it seems like he definitely notices his like attraction a little bit more, and I do like that. Like he uses his magic to help her. I think obviously he does feel bad for her, and throughout the book has expressed like curiosity on like how she got to be that way, and like kind of like her background. But as they were part of this circus or carnival, he would notice like her beauty and all of that, but almost like he didn't want to kind of get to that point of attraction. So that was definitely something I noticed, and I am rooting for them.
He's definitely floating down the denial. He is watching her. He's watching her. Even there's one part where he like loops his arm around her and like presses her back to his chest in protectiveness of like, I think it was soldiers or something. Like he was like showing like, this is my wife, but like you didn't have
Still
to go
nice.
that far. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to.
You really are trying, huh?
Yeah, like you didn't have to put your arm around my waist and like bring me to your chest. You didn't have to do that, but you did that. So I think they both do a little bit more than they necessarily have to by the terms of their agreement. And I just noticed that and I see it. Nothing else. And what's interesting, because you mentioned the like forced proximity or marriage of convenience thing.
Yeah.
At one point, the carnival like workers are like, "Hey, guess what? We got you a tent to share." Because up to that point, like the women would sleep in one place, the men would sleep in the other, so they didn't really have to deal with like we have to look like we're sleeping together. But the carnival folks were like, "We want to be nice. You're newly married. Here's your very own tent." And they're like, "Ha ha ha. Thank you."
Uh-oh, one bed.
One tent, as it were. And they both are like, "Should we maybe use this opportunity to take a bath and like clean off?" Don't worry. If you're thinking, did they bathe together? Never. No. That could never happen. They each take turns bathing and like guarding the tent door, and it's very cute. And he like brings her clothes and whatever. It's very sweet. And Lorcan realizes, because he's listening, he's got that extraordinary hearing. He's listening to her bathing and doing whatever she's doing, and he realizes she's hiding something from him. He can hear like her bedroll rustling. She's like taking something out and put it under. And again, he doesn't know that it's the word key, but he's like, this woman's got she's got secrets. And to be fair, so doesn't he. They both do. And they haven't known each other for very long, but he's like, she's got secrets. And Larkin's secret is that he knows that she's looking for the same person. He knows that Selena and Aelin are the same person, but he doesn't tell her.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, he says some sort of veiled, like, find one and you'll find the other kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of part 1, we have this agreement in place between them. They're sharing a tent. And they're doing their carnival stuff, and it's kind of all going to plan for them. That's part 1. What did you think about Elite and Lurkin as a pair and like their trajectory up to this point?
I think it's very interesting how they like fell together and kind of are now in this kind of situation, almost like, they both have goals that they want to be able to, accomplish, and places they want to get to, and kind of like being able to help each other out is a nice thing. And yeah, I'm interested in seeing like where their relationship goes for sure. Because I do sense that they have a little bit of something, and maybe like he can find a way to like permanently fix her like ankle, and like, kind of like fix her up a little bit, so she can feel, confident and all of that. But yeah, I do find it interesting, like their relationship so far, and they joined the circus, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of two minds about the ankle piece, because like I kind of like that he braces it for her. Like I like the attention he gives her.
But
when
do we
he's
want her to be in pain all the time, and kind of like we do want her to be able?
Yeah. If you're gonna head into battle, I suppose. I think. Well,
like to give her a fair chance,
I'm a hold. I'm on the cusp of like saying stuff I shouldn't. So yes, I think it would be a nice way for her to like have a little bit more confidence in her ability to like navigate battles. I just love that he braces it for her. Like it's
definitely
when his magic is wrapped around her. I like that. I get into that. Okay, so that's Elite and Lorcan, and now we move to Manon's perspective. Manon is now working, and I know I've been saying Parrington/Erewhon. Now we know Duke Parrington is Erewhon, so I'm going to refer to him that way for the rest of the time. So Manon is working for Erewhon and Vernon Locken, and Erewhon has shed his Parrington skin. Like, he's been wearing this dude like a meat suit, and now he's just, I don't know how he did it. I don't really want to know how, but that's gone.
It's
That's
like a
away.
magical, like it dissipates, you know.
Sure, that's what I want to picture, that instead of what originally came into my mind. And now he's this beautiful and terrifying golden man, like just gorgeous but terrifying in the way his face is. He's got this like golden hair. It's very striking. And Manon could tell that Vernon is kind of afraid of him. We've turned a corner where Vernon was kind of like teammates, and now Vernon, it seems like Vernon might start to realize kind of what he's got himself into. In addition to Vernon going along with all this, Manon's grandmother is also following Erewhon, which again, we left Manon really not feeling good about that element in the last book. So we see her very much at odds with her surroundings at the start of this book. And I will say, she gets an order to attack Rifthold from Erewhon, and she gathers her Iron Teeth host and she goes. So she's still wearing the title of Wing Leader. She's still doing as he says, and you could see it deeply unsettles her. When she gets to Rifthold, if you remember, Dorian is there. She sees Dorian in his tower, and to Dorian's credit, dude just became king a few days ago and is like learning about his magic. He's using his magic as best he can to protect his city, but it's not going well because he's not well trained. No one's ever talked to him about how to use magic. And so he gets in kind of a sticky wicket where he's used almost all his magic, and a Yellow Legs is going to kill him. Manon swoops in and kills the Yellow Legs and tells him to run. This is a big thing. This is, as we know, being a witch killer is no small thing, and it's deeply against the values of the Iron Teeth for somebody to kill a witch, even another witch. So she kills the Yellow Legs. Rowan rolls up. We're not going to get too into it because we're going to see his perspective later. He rolls up. He kills more Yellow Legs and takes Dorian with him. That both Dorian and Rowan leave. Manon goes back to Morath, and Iskra, who showed up kind of mid that whole scene, accuses her, rightfully so, of killing one of her witches. Manon admits to the killing, but she lies about why. She says that the Yellow Legs witch was intending to take her kill, that Manon had shown up to kill Dorian, the Yellow Legs was interfering, and it was like retaliation. In this back and forth, it's interesting to see that Petra, who's the Blue Bloods heir, sticks up for Manon, and the matron, Manon's grandmother, because originally it was kind of up in the air about, is Manon going to be the one to take this sacrifice and die? But because Petra sticks up for her, Manon's grandmother says that she won't die, but she's got to kill Asterin to atone for the death of the Yellow Legs witch.
Yeah, and this, it kind of ties into kind of what we discussed in the previous book of like what all of Asterin has been through. And this moment is just another kind of horrible element that her grandmother would make her kill her second. And it's like a play in the dynamics that they have, a test in the obedience and the no feelings from her grandmother. And I mean, I can't imagine like why. And, when I was reading that, I was like, I am so over her grandma.
Oh yeah, Grandmammy needs to go. Grandmammy
needs to go. She needs to take a nap, forever long nap, and never wake up again.
The endless nap that only death can provide. Yeah, I love that you say it's a test of obedience. That's, I think, exactly what this is. The matron knows how much Asterin means to Manon, and this is her kind of digging in, like salt in the wound, like,
yeah,
all right, take the one person who means most to you in this world. And I think the matron makes a miscalculation, as we see in what happens next. So Manon is supposed to kill Astrid. Astrid's like on her knees, obviously has been beaten up by a bunch of the Yellow Legs witches. Um, and in the moment when she's like over her with the sword, Astrid's sort of facing the sky. She's requested, like, can I just face the sky when I die? Um, and instead of killing Astrid, Manon turns around and delivers a vicious sword blow to her grandmother and goes after her. And the matron and Manon fight. And in the midst of all this fighting, the matron is taunting Manon with details of things that she has never known. And she reveals that Manon's dad was a rare Crocan prince. And so she has both Crocan blood and Iron Teeth blood. And for that reason, her mother, Manon's mother, believed that she was going to be the one to unite the Iron Teeth and the Crocans. That because of her being half Iron Teeth and half Crocan, and because the matron killed her parents, both of them, she is the last Crocan queen. Like,
it was, yeah.
It bombastic, like, level of information dropping from the matron here.
It was shocking and incredible, like, knowledge that it's just, I can only imagine what Manon felt in that moment, but also like the fact that her grandmother never told her that and kind of withheld that information is so hurtful. And we can see how, you know, that is definitely gonna, like, surefire have Manon questioning things about herself and loyalties after finding that out. Like, you're gonna go into a spiral of, like, who am I? What have I learned my whole life? And now, like, that's, like, I have to kind of reimagine this new idea of being a Crocan queen. So, you know, and the value of being able to sort, like, what was a lie, what wasn't true, and who her family is, like, that is, I feel like that would have her questioning everything that she's done, and, like, or at least how she wants to go on with the rest of her life, you know?
Yeah, I love that you highlight this, because I think that's exactly what the matron wanted to do, right? Like, she wanted to dysregulate Manon so badly. I think the matron was hoping that she would kill Manon. That was the plan. And same for Manon. Manon wanted to kill her grandmother. But what I thought was so callous, or almost, it was like all of these things are breaks with her grandmother. First, the thing with Astrid, and like 70 years ago, her having her child and being branded. Then it's a slow, like, event after event where you could see Manon breaking with her grandmother. And this is just the absolute, like, last straw. And she learns that the Crocan that she had Manon kill books ago was her half sister Rhiannon, and that Rhiannon had come to look for Manon, believing that she would unite the Iron Teeth and the Crocans. And the ultimate cruelty of the matron is that she knows all this, and she decided to train Manon to be a Crocan killer. That was like her great, she was like viciously joyous about the fact that this Manon, who is supposed to be the savior of both their clans and the uniter, is the one who's murdering all these Crocans. And she's maniacal about it. She's just, like, so happy that Manon has turned on her own people via the training of the matron. And as they're fighting and all this is coming out, the fight starts to get more and more difficult. And finally, the matron gives Manon a vicious cut to her own belly. And Manon tells the 13 to run. She just yells, "Run!" They do. And as the matron and Manon are fighting, you know, they're rallying the wyverns. Like, in the background, you're like, come on, 13, get the wyverns, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
They do. She kind of falls off the balcony and is caught by Abraxas. And then she tells them to split off and go different places. And like, she's like, you two distract those iron, you know, yellow legs, and you two distract them. And I'm going to go this way. And she peels off by herself to protect her 13 who have kind of spread to the four winds. And she gets away, but she's gravely injured, and she passes out due to the amount of blood loss from this belly wound.
Yeah, and when you kind of explain that kind of that whole background history of like her kind of being taught to kill her own people that she was not aware of, and her grandmother truly evil, like feeding
Mm,
off of that and like having that knowledge and knowing that like she created this person and like is killing off her own people that she should have been able to like rule over if she would have known the truth. And it's heartbreaking for sure, and I think this was one of the moments that I felt emotional.
mm,
I do like how in this moment she is still loyal to her 13 and wants to protect them even after finding out kind of that impactful history or fact about herself. Because again, like she's going to be questioning everything, but in this moment, like her 13 like are still there with her.
mhm.
So I'm sure they will be having to figure things out in the near future.
Yes. I think the biggest mistake the matron made ever was in her goals. I'm not saying I agree with the matron. Fuck the matron as far as I'm concerned. But but I think her biggest mistake in not making Manon absolutely a carbon copy of her was letting her have the 13 and letting them be a unit and a cohesive group. It's, in my mind, the power of those relationships that keeps Manon from being her grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's just so interesting to see that it is those relationships that opened up enough doubt for Manon so that she could see what her grandmother was about and all this evil shit that she's pulling off.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
think that friendship and loyalties to, her 13 are what help her see through her grandma and be able to kind of have those connections and see that emotional side of the loyalty and the, you know, friendship or
Mm.
companionship, whatever she wants to kind of define the 13 as.
Yeah. And I think for us as people, it's so, I think it can be popular to, and I've seen this on social media and stuff, for people to be like, well, who cares what anybody thinks? I don't need other people. I'm me and I'm independent. And it's great to have your own sense of self. Like, you don't want to be too subject to the opinions
Yeah.
and whims of other people. There's a balance here. And humans are relational beings, right? And so
Hmm.
it's the softness and the connection that you get from caring for
Yeah.
other people. There's a healing component to altruism. There's a healing component to being able to be there for someone else. And I wonder if in this circumstance Manon had that opportunity and the matron just never let that
Yeah.
manifest. Like, she only ever acts in cruelty to others. And so there's nothing to soften
Yeah.
her like viciousness, where Manon, through these bonds, has been softened a little bit, which I love.
Yeah, and that kind of thing that you described, that hyper independence is a trauma response.
Mm,
And people may have gone through maybe some negative situations in their life where now they solely can only rely on themselves because of what they've been through. But that
mm,
hyper independence is not a good thing. It's good to be
mm,
independent and not like rely on someone else to kind of go through your life, but to not let anyone else in and to have that concept of, well, who cares about anyone else, type of thing. That's not a good way to live your life, because then you won't have the connections. You're not letting yourself get there.
Yeah. It's a balance, right? Like it's these two extremes where it's like we want to try to stay away from codependence where you can't function without one particular person, but
Mhm.
we also don't want to be so isolating of ourselves that we don't get the opportunity to be in relationship, to be in community. And I think as counselors we get to do that work of helping people find a balance that works for them. And that's not to say everybody's going to be their social lives are all going to look the same. Some people thrive with lots of friends. Some folks only need a couple of really close relationships. Like it's different for everyone, but it's about finding your own sense of self while recognizing that the self is often built in context with other people, that parts of yourself come out when you get to interact with others
Yeah.
and be there for others. So I love that we get to see this as counselors. I also love to get to read about it, right? Like, I think we
Mhm.
can track in a way that's like, here we go. This is what's gonna be the undoing of the matron's work
Right.
in Manon. So Manon passes out from blood loss. She's not doing well. And when she comes to, she lands with Abraxas. They need a break. He's been flying for God knows how long. She's not doing good. And she's trying to she's like, I need to get to a stream. I need to drink some water. I need a second. And when they land, at the stream there's this beautiful woman and she's nude and she's just there and sort of glowing, but this is a facade for something called the Bloodhound. The Bloodhound is another terrible invention by Erewhon, sent to find and retrieve Manon, to get her back and bring her back to Erewhon. And once she sheds the beautiful naked lady skin, it's awful. It's like black teeth and crazy serpentine face, a little bit like the Ilkin, but crazier. Um, and she half kind of stumbling around fights this thing off, but she just all she's got to she's like, I just got to get out of Abraxos and I got to get out of here.
Mhm.
So she manages that. They fly into the sky and she passes out once more. She blacks out, and that's where we leave her. We don't know where she is. We don't know where she's headed. She doesn't know where she's headed. It's kind of up to Abraxos. All she says to him is find us somewhere safe. And they're off.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what did you think about kind of where we left her in part 1?
I mean, it gets you thinking of where they will go, what is the safe place for them, and I think hoping that she obviously survives. I mean, after that intense, um, you know, what do you call it? Intense a scratch or whatever sword thing
Yes.
that her grandma did to her.
Sword cut.
Yeah, sword cut. That's what I was trying to look for. And hoping it wasn't poisoned or anything like that. You kind of start thinking about what other elements can impact Manon's kind of future and life. So I am hoping that she's able to either connect with Dorian or connect with just someone else and go to Terrason, somewhere safer.
Well, and it's all up to Abraxos now, right?
Right. How does he know where to go?
Yeah.
He don't got a map. He doesn't know where to go.
He can't read dragon maps, okay? They didn't teach him that in Wyvern school.
Yeah,
all right?
He doesn't have a little cellular device to contact others.
He doesn't have his I almost want to say pager. He doesn't have his pager on him. He's got no BlackBerry, no iPad. Yeah. He's just going on vibes. He doesn't even have thumbs, dude. He can't even click anything.
Maybe wyverns can have that telepathy thing with the other ones, and they can connect. And
okay, so he's sending out the wyvern bat signal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. He's sending out the vibes.
Maybe there's something, maybe through smell, something's got to guide him somewhere.
Okay. Well, we'll find out what he decides.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I don't know anything and don't know where he ends up. So that's we're just going to have to see. So yes, that's we leave Manon in a very precarious situation. I feel like she's way more precarious by the end of this first part than Alid and Lorcan are. Alid and Lorcan have problems, but like Manon
This is a
has
real
some like
problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
Manon has
Life or
some
death.
like yeah, like I might die on this wyvern
Yeah.
problems. If he doesn't use his wyvern vibes to like get me somewhere good. Um so next up on our tour de perspectives is Dorian. Uh, and now we zoom from the skies somewhere where Manon is to Dorian, who is in Rifthold. He has sent Kale and Nezrin away so that Kale can be healed in the Torre Chesme
Yeah.
down in the southern continent. And he's also told his mother and brother to stay away. If you remember, he has a younger brother, Holland. Holland's doesn't sound like a good dude, but we've never met him. And so he tells everybody to stay away. And so the castle is weirdly quiet. Like there's not really anybody he knows well there. And he's struggling with all of the trauma from his possession in the previous book and all the things that he did sort of or that he was forced to do at the hands of the Valg. But you can see he's really trying. He's training every day. He's got a captain of the guard who's a friend of Nezrin. So like he's got some good people kind of around him to try to help him. And his big thing is I never want to end up weak or defenseless again. He never wants to be in a position again where like somebody could hold him down and put a wordstone collar on him.
Yeah, and poor guy.
Oh my
I
god.
feel so bad for Dorian.
Yep.
My heart goes out to him.
Yeah, I feel like he's such an emo boy. Like he's
he's going
such an
through
emo
it.
man. Yeah, and he's like alone in his castle and he's feeling his feelings and I'm just like I just want to I just want to give him a hug. I just want to be like I want to
Same.
like roll up to the castle and be like, "Man, I'll just be here to like let's like have a beer and just like chill and have some normal convos. You've been through a lot, man."
Take a drag of a cigarette.
let's light up a couple of stogies. I don't even smoke cigars, but I will for you, man. And let's just chill out a little bit.
Yeah, it's really difficult seeing him struggle with himself mentally because of his / the Valg's actions, but he really is blaming himself for or being at fault for everything that his body did. And we've kind of talked about that previously where it's like even if he wasn't in control, like his body is still kind of like storing like that trauma and like all that horrible things that he was made to do. And I can see how training can also be a way of escape for him and to be able to work on himself. I think in this moment, he does need to process, accept, and forgive himself for the things that he was not in control of. And the trauma of that can have a lasting impact with his self-worth, his feelings of strength or belief in himself. So he's really going through it right now. He needs a hug. He needs a friend.
Yeah. And I like that you talk about the forgiving himself for things he was not in control of. I think that's such a part of processing trauma for folks is there's this pull to want to control or like what could I have done differently or what could I have what I should have done this and sort of going over and over again like how you could have controlled things.
Yeah.
And
It's not
often
helpful.
well, and oftentimes I think folks realize that there wasn't anything they could have done differently. Like this trauma that happened to you was outside of your control and like that is a scary thought because it means you weren't in control of the situation and it's a releasing of like this is not mine to own. Like there was nothing I could have done differently or somehow could have salvaged this situation. There were other people who were actors in this scenario. They are the ones who perpetuated this trauma on to the person. And I think once folks can square with that a little bit, it helps them to release some of this blame that's not theirs to own. Now I think for Dorian it's there are extraordinary magical like items here that make it even more difficult for him to process that and doing that by yourself is quite lonely.
Yeah. So I feel for him and it's hard seeing him, in this space. Hopefully we kind of see like a turn, a positive turn in him and in his mental health overall.
Agreed. So he's emo man in the castle. He's not even giving himself the sweet relief of a cigarette or a drink. He's just, you know,
We do not support using that as a coping skill. We're just
we
saying
do
that to be
not.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
We
we
both
don't.
don't smoke.
I don't. Yeah, no. I'm like, listen, I don't, and I think the thing is, I would like to like help him relax in whatever way's going to work for him. That's what we're getting at. So all of a sudden he's in the castle, he's by himself, he's doing his training, and there is a ruckus. And the Iron Teeth witches roll the fuck up, and everything's bad. Dorian's trying to protect Adarlan with his magic, but he expends too much of it too fast. He has a huge well of magic, but even this, his by himself, his magic can't handle it. And a yellow legs witch is about to kill him in the top of one of his like towers when Manon rolls up, as I said, kills the witch and tells him to flee. Dorian is hurt like pretty severely, and there's poison in the, I think it was either the wyvern's tail or in the knife that the yellow legs used. But his body is, because he's got magic, his body is healing himself at a rate that is magically assisted. If he had been a human, he would have died, but he's healing and trying to get out of there. Rowan Whitethorn rolls up in his bird form. He's like, caca, and he like busts in there. That's literally what happened. He said caca. That's real.
Oh my goodness.
And he shifts into his Fae form. He kills 4 of the witches, and he's like, Dorian, we gotta GTFO. We gotta leave this place now. And they get Dorian, they go to a boat. Dorian's like, hey, I know a secret passage to a boat sewer thing. Way back in book 1, if you remember Selena's room passageways, they go through there. Yeah. I think they access it from the Queen's Suite or something, but they go through similar tunnels. And basically Rowan's like, lay down in the bottom of the boat, put a blanket over him, and he uses his like wind magic to push the boat out of Rifthold.
So cool.
Yeah, so cool. And Rowan just so fucking powerful. Like man uses them powers like nobody's business. So now it's just Rowan and Dorian in a boat, and they're headed for Skulls Bay, and the Dead Islands, as was agreed between Rowan and Aelin. And I'll get into kind of how Rowan ends up there. But Rowan agrees to teach Dorian about how to use his magic, and they use their special boat time, to help teach Dorian about magic, and they practice every day with different kinds of magic, because Dorian just has raw magic. It's not even like one kind, it's just all of it. And then finally Rowan and Dorian roll up to the Dead Islands, and they learn that the Captain Rolfe of Assassin's Blade, and there's a whole history there I'm not going to get into, but go back to our Assassin's Blade episode if you want to be like, wait, who's that guy? And his guests are Fenris and Gavriel. Dun dun dun. 2 of the Fae male cadre that worked with Rowan under Maeve. They learn that the Valg are posted up on the easternmost islands of the Dead Islands. And Rolfe, they're kind of like, Rolfe, why are you letting her do why are you letting them do this? And letting Erewhon set up his shit here. And Rolfe is like, I don't know what the hell you want me to do. And as long as they stay over there, I kind of don't care. They also learn that Maeve has set sail with her armada and is now in the fold. We don't know where Maeve is. We don't know where her armada is, but we know that Erewhon's rolled up to the Eastern Islands. Maeve has got her armada somewhere. And now it's just a kind of a waiting game, waiting for Aelin to get there. So Rowan and
Yeah.
Dorian fall into this routine of every day they train magically and physically, and they in the afternoons they sneak around town trying to find out information about Rolf, Fenris, Gavriel, and where
Could
Maeve
be.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's tricky because Fenris and Gavriel are under Maeve's blood oath. Their objective is to kill Lorcan, but they've kind of slipped the leash a little bit. Like, if you give orders under the blood oath and you're not specific enough, you could kind of
You
play
can
with the
like navigate
timing.
around it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what they're doing, but they're certainly not totally friendly, like, um, actors in this story toward Rowan and Dorian. So both Rowan and Dorian are suspicious, but they're all kind of hanging out and waiting for Aelin to roll up. Yeah, and that's where we leave them before we make a shift in perspective. So, was there anything that stuck out to you about the Rowan Dorian trading alliance?
I do. I like that they had kind of that moment of, hey, like, I really want to learn more about like honing in my magic, and
Mm,
you're the guy to help me. So I think them having that conversation, just so again, like, this is gonna help Dorian with his like self-esteem and his confidence in himself. Because if you just have raw magic and you don't know how to control it, like, for sure you can get burnt out, if that's a word that they use here, but
mm,
you can be able to not feel in control, and he wants to feel in control,
yeah.
based off like his past experience, things that he said. He's training a lot. He wants to feel in control, and the magic is the next step in him being able to feel powerful and in control of that power.
It's a response to how fucking vulnerable he's been for so long. Like,
Yeah.
he's been raw vulnerability with
Poor
the
guy.
Valg inside him,
Yeah.
and now I think it's important for him to gain some of that agency back and
Yeah.
to recognize what he can do to kind of get his sense of self back and to his sense of self-efficacy and confidence that, like, I'm not
Yeah.
somebody's puppet anymore. I'm my own person.
And even asking for help like that, that's
Mm,
hard for some people too. So him being able to trust Rowan and kind of have that conversation with him again, it's being vulnerable and asking for help. And for some people it's not easy, but also it's like a normal part of life. So
mm, yeah, I agree on the vulnerability front. Like, he is not shy at all about asking for help. Or I think there are parts where I really see, like, he's not afraid to admit that he doesn't know something. He's like, I don't know, uh, and he takes on this. He sort of like sits back and lets things unfold a little bit. Like, he's not hot-headed. He's not like there's a sense of almost eerie calm about him sometimes. And I think that comes out of, some of the things he had to do to cope through the Valg possession. Okay, we have taken care of everybody else's perspective. We know where everyone else is, and now it is time for Aelin and friends. And it includes Rowan, it includes Dorian. There are other characters' perspectives that it incorporates. And it leads us to kind of the end of that part one. So Aelin and friends, Adian, Lysandra, Evangeline, and Rowan are camping, and it's raining like the dickens, and they're just slogging through the forest and walking to a meeting place in Terrason's territory that they arranged to meet Lord Darrow, Ren, and Murtaugh Allsbrook. Ren and Murtaugh and Darrow are all lords of Terrason. And what Aelin's hoping to do is meet up with them, strengthen their court, get a plan together, and like solidify Aelin's place on the throne and kind of take back control of the operations of Terrason. Well, Darrow proves to be kind of an asshole. Darrow doesn't go along with this, And as one of the lords of Terrasen, he has determined that Aelin should not take the throne. He thinks that she's unfit for it because she's been an assassin and she had run away from her responsibilities for 10 years, by his estimation. Now, you and I both know that she's been working hard. She's been going through shit. But in Darrow's eyes, you ran off, you became an assassin, and you avoided your responsibilities for 10 years. And this really hits Aelin hard. This is an insecurity that she also has. Darrow was also Aelin's uncle, Orlin's partner. So Orlin and Darrow were partners, and Orlin died in the wars with Terrasen. And I think you can see the effect that that had on him, that not only is he an asshole because he wants to protect Terrasen, but he's just got bitterness. Like, he's bitter from the death of Orlin, and at having to keep Terrasen together for all these years and just being like, where the fuck were you? Well, while we were all trying to keep our shit together, you were prancing around the world doing whatever the fuck you felt like. Now, those are his words. Those are not mine. Because again, I don't agree with his perspective totally. And I can see how that's what he sees. I could see how he could reach that conclusion.
Right. I was just gonna say, he doesn't have the full story of what kind of like she went through or anything like that. So that's why he comes to that conclusion. And I can see kind of like his apprehension to the whole meeting and like her just coming in and like ruling over. So I can definitely see kind of the vibe that he's setting. But we obviously we have followed Aelin / Elena's story this whole time. So like, we know
exactly.
the truth.
And that's the thing. We have empathy for her because we know what she's been through. Darrow doesn't give her a chance to say any of that. Like, their exchanges, they don't see eye to eye at all, and they don't try to see each other's perspectives. And the exchanges between them are really vitriolic. And I think what's really interesting, well, I'll get to that in a second. They have some vitriolic exchanges, and what Darrow essentially ends up saying to Aelin is that in order for her to take the throne back in the style of the old Terrasen government, she would have to get votes of approval from him and at least 3 other powerful lords of Terrasen in order to take power. And he already has gotten the letter from the 3 other most powerful lords and himself saying that they vote no to her taking the throne. Yeah. Now, Aelin, you and I both know, could just fucking incinerate everybody. She just wants to kick their asses and like take names. She doesn't do that. In a show, I think, of maturity from Aelin, she takes the high road. She like centers herself, and she vows to Darrow. She said, if you ever call for my aid, I will come. And with me, I will bring an army of thieves and cutthroats and everybody that I've ever had commoners, everybody. She says, I vow I will come to you should you need my aid. And it's this very like solemn moment. And Darrow has no fucking idea that when she says that shit, she means it. And he's like, whatever. And so she decides that what they're going to do is go to Captain Rolfe and the Dead Islands. And that's where she's going to start her join me for this war tour to seek. Yeah. She basically is calling in, she's like, I knew you once. I gave you a favor. So she's going to start with Captain Rolfe in the Dead Islands and seek his aid and try to build her power and her army in other ways before coming back to Terrasen.
Yeah, and she went there with that goal, try to get back on her throne. The rejection, obviously, a blow to her plans, and obviously not fair because there definitely could have been moments where they both talked more and like the Darrow guy and the other lords can be more aware of like kind of what she went through, and that it wasn't her abandoning her throne or not coming. It was like she was dealing with some other shit. So exactly. But Aelin will find a way. She will definitely find a way to get what she wants.
Oh, okay. A little prediction for the future. I like that. I like that. And I think what's cool about watching this interchange go down, it pissed me off. I was really pissed at Darrow for going in so hard.
Yeah.
And I think a previous version of Aelin, a younger Aelin, might have popped off or gotten really pompous or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't. She doesn't take the bait. She like breathes deep. You know, she's raging inside. She's got all
Yeah.
these emotions. But I remember the Assassin's Blade version of Aelin and just the like raw emotionality of her.
Yeah.
And she has tempered herself a lot, I think, and it's a sign of her growth.
I think also for the visuals of like, hey, like these are the lords here. I
Mhm.
need to be on either their good side, or they need to see that I am able to rule and have kind of the composure to handle these tough conversations without yelling or like trying to kill someone.
Mhm.
And it's like, as queen, she's going to deal with probably many other situations, and she's got to be able to at least show them like, hey, I could do it.
Mhm. Show like that composure, that
Yeah.
patience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as they're leaving from this meeting and trying to head down to the Dead Islands, Aelin gets a message from the little folk. And the little folk are sort of lesser fairies. So like, and I don't mean lesser as in like less important, but like not the ruling fae. They're fairies. They're smaller, like little forest creatures that sort of.
Cute. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll notice throughout all of these books they watch over her. And I up until this point made a decision not to highlight every time it happens. I almost wanted to. I want to be like, watch the little fae, watch the little fae, watch
I
the
didn't
fairies.
even notice. Yeah.
Oh, I made a decision to not. And now and for moments like this where we could
Mm.
kind of be surprised by it, but if you were to go back and read it, they're constantly helping her in these little
Oh.
moments. They never quite leave her. And so the little folk um, who are in the forest that they are in um, leave her a message that she should go to Brandon's temple. uh, in it's in a port town called Ilium. This is where and Ilium's a part of Terrasen. It's a town that is currently under Aderlanian control, but is a part of Terrasen's territories. And so Aelin insists that they head to Ilium first, free the town there. And she doesn't totally tell them. She doesn't tell them about the temple. She doesn't tell them about the little folk. She's just like, we should head there and leave from there for the Dead Islands.
It's like,
Um, yeah, she got secrets.
yeah, that's what we have an issue with.
Yeah.
This, you know.
I mean, some secrets is fine, but she arguably has too many. She has too much, and she doesn't.
Yeah.
It's we could see why she does it. She wants to protect people. She's got. I think too. She doesn't want to disappoint people if it doesn't work out, and that's fine. But like,
But you got to let people know of the plans,
you're
especially if it's to like free a town. Like that's gonna take more than just one person. I think.
well, and you're alienating the people who are most apt to help you. So I think again, she has her reasons, but this continues to be a theme for her. Um so in addition to the little folk rolling up and letting her know that, a messenger, one of Darrow's messengers runs in and tells them that the witches are going to fly on Rifthold on behalf of Erewhon. This is where Aelin sends Rowan off to help Dorian because Rowan's the only one that can get there in time because his animal form is a bird.
Features.
Yeah. So he's really the only one who could get there in time. And despite the fact that she doesn't want to, she tells Rowan to go help Dorian and that they will all meet up in the Dead Islands. And so Aiden, Aelin, and Lysandra all go to Ilium. They leave Evangeline with Ren and Murtaugh Allsbrook and Darrow. And there's such a cute moment between Aelin and Evangeline where Aelin's like, I need you to soften these crotchety old man's hearts. Okay. You're my court. And it's time to do the work of the court. And this kind of keeps Evangeline from getting too freaked out that Lysandra's leaving.
Right.
So Adi and Aelin and Lysandra go to Ilium and they just kick ass. It's a 20-minute battle, quite literally 20 minutes. That time is discussed. And they clear out all the Adarlan soldiers who have no fucking chance against Aelin of the Wildfire, Lysandra the Shifter, and Adi and the Half Fae. And then after, Aelin clears out like the dust and debris and every like kind of cobwebby thing from the temple with her fire. So she like cleanses the temple. And she sits down on a rock and she's like, listen, whoever sent the little folk to tell me to come here, get your ass out here now. Here I am. And she thinks it's going to be Elena, but it's Brannon. And I love the interaction that they have. I think if Aelin and Brannon had known each other, like if they had both been alive at the same time, they would have really liked each other. Like there was such a cool vibe between them. But Brannon tells Aelin that she has to find the lock to the word keys in the stone marshes of Eelway. And Aelin, and I think everyone reading the book is like, another fucking thing. Right. We can't just get the keys. We have to get the lock. It's like everyone's like banging their head against a wall being like, why? And so she's like, and she's even snarky with him. She's like, thank you for your cryptic messages and your all your traipsing that I'm supposed to be doing. He kind of laughs about it, but he disappears. And Aelin initially tries to hide that she talked to Brannon, but Adian and Lysandra are watching from the shadows, and they overhear Aelin and Brandon's convo. So they have this moment where like Adian's like, don't try to hide it. Like we just saw it. And he's not even, at this point, he's not even that bothered by it. He's like, just don't try to hide it. We already know.
Yeah, their lack of communication, or her lack of communication, doesn't help, and again, it continues to be an issue that she needs to work on and just accept. Because like she's there with them. Like, why are you gonna hold back this information? What if they're like, okay, like what happened in there? She's like, nothing. It's like nothing. you gotta just be honest. In these times, you gotta be honest. You gotta say what's going on. Keep everyone on the same page.
Well, and again, it's this impasse, right? She cannot let the reins go. She's like, yeah, but what if people get hurt, or what if I disappoint people, or whatever? It's like all of that's your whole court signed up for that, right? Like,
they know the risk.
Be a team, and if we're pulling some empathy from her, a good majority of her life has been spent watching out for her. Like, I could see why it's happening. I just wish maybe we could have a conversation with her about it and be like, listen, teamwork does make a dream work. So, and you're powerful and you're amazing. And she's incredible.
Yeah.
But you're one person.
Yeah.
Let's spread out the labor a little bit.
I agree. And she needs to do that. it's like frustrating at this point. Like every time she's like, I'm going to keep it to myself.
Well, and you see people's frustration building about it. So we're not the only ones who are feeling that. So Aelin, Adian, and Lysandra head to the Dead Islands, and this is like one of my favorite moments when Aelin rolls up and pretends to be Selena, because Rolf has no fucking idea. And so she's like got her feet propped up and she's like, hey man, how you doing? Remember the last time I rocked your shit? And he's like, you bitch. And everyone's kind of chuckling at Rolf's expense because like Rowan walks in and sees her for the first time, but he could tell by the look on her face that she's doing the whole Selena thing.
Right.
And so she's like, oh, hello, handsome. And he's like, sorry, I've got somebody. Yeah. And she's like, oh my God, she must be incredible.
Oh yeah, that was a funny moment for sure. I was like,
she's like, she must be the most intelligent, amazing woman ever. And he's like, well, she kind of is. So they all do this like,
he better say that.
Exactly. There's no other answer. So they do their little act before, like, Selena's like, all right, Rolf, I'm Aelin. I'm the same person. He's pissed. He spends a lot of the time pissed, which I get. But he kind of is forced to accept it. And then they have this conversation. He's like, everybody get the fuck out of my office. I need like a minute. And so they're all in the Dead Islands. And this is Aelin, Rowan, Adian, Lysandra, Dorian, Rolf, Gavriel, Fenris. They're all there. And several things are unfolding as they're all in the Dead Islands, kind of getting their shit together. Number one, Aelin and Rowan reunite. And guess what they do? Kiss. They kiss. More kissing. More kissing.
And that's it. Yeah.
That's it. Are they having sex? No. More kissing. Are they sharing a room? Are they sharing a bed? Yes. But just kissing. Just kissing. Don't get too excited, everyone. Make out sessions galore, but that's it. Because why? It's never the perfect time or the perfect place.
So many people around. Yeah. Not the right bed sheet, you know.
Yeah. It wasn't, Egyptian cotton. So she was like, I can't possibly, the lighting's off, we can't.
It's just excuses at this point. I'm sick of it.
I'm so sick of it. And we won't have to wait too long anyway.
Yes.
And then Adian sees his dad finally. Adian asks Lysandra, like, hey, will you come see my dad with me? And she's like, yeah, I'll come see your dad. And the first time I read this, I was like, okay, maybe they'll like have a thoughtful conversation a little bit. Adian goes in there and just lays into him, just berates him. He berates him for the blood bond that he has with Maeve. He berates him for his mother's death, Adian's mom's death. He says he wants nothing to do with Gavriel and to basically like fuck off. And you could see how much this hurts Gavriel. Also, I can imagine how confusing this is. It's like, you came to me, man. You came to talk to me.
Yeah.
I don't like, can we say one civil thing before this all blows up?
I mean, I think with Adian, kind of like finding out that that's his dad, kind of having those feelings about that. And even as he was like getting ready and putting on his little outfit to go see his dad, like it was mentioned that as he was walking into the room or something, like, like noticing if his like knees were buckling or something. You can tell he was putting on a front of being like strong and like, I hate you, Dad, but he was obviously very like scared to do that, and kind of confronting his dad who he's never seen before. So
and I really feel for Gavriel. You could tell how much it hurts his feelings, and he doesn't say anything. He's just like, okay, like,
gotta take it. Yeah,
I guess. So it's just like I thought I left that interaction feeling really sad, and it's just going to sound very like parentifying toward Adian, but I was kind of disappointed in Adian. I was like, man,
wow. I'm more on like Adian's side as seeing
really.
I'm seeing him as like an abandoned son, not having a father figure.
And if you don't know, like, we have a window into who Gavriel is as a person, but like Adian doesn't. I suppose in his head he's like, you're just the asshole who like knocked up my mom and left. And I suppose. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm still team Gavriel. I also I'm gonna stop myself. I'm about to reveal too much. So yeah, I think it was a hard interaction, and I think through that interaction and several others, we also see that Adian and Lysandra are building some kind of connection, but it's very slow going, and I think Adian's very aware that like, I can't go too crazy or move too fast because Lysandra's got a lot of healing she's doing, and like, I'm not trying to make that any more difficult for her.
Yeah.
So lots of things are happening, and Aelin is trying to negotiate with Rolf. Interesting fact about Rolf that Aelin knows, and that Rolf doesn't want anybody else to know, but they find out because Aelin says it. Rolf is a Mycenian. A Mycenian, they were thought to be extinct, that they had all died out. But what we learn is that Rolf is Mycenian and that he knows where others are. In the sort of like old tales of this world, the Mycenians used to roll up on their sea dragons, and they were like mightily feared on the seas. And the capital, their port, was Ilium, which Aelin just took back. Interesting that is the decision that she made before rolling up to talk to Rolf. It's all you could see.
It's making sense.
You start to see what Aelin's all putting together, but again, she doesn't tell anybody, including the reader. Really. But she tries to negotiate for his and the Mycenian support, and it's not going well. And so I like this part because it's like classic Aelin. Like, she doesn't hold back in this one. She just sends out a pulse of her power. She's just like, oh, every day I just have too much power in my veins, and I've just got to let it out sometimes. And she sends out this like, I picture, like, remember in Pirates of the Caribbean where like when the Black Pearl sends out that pulse of power where it's like douche, it's like that, like, or it's like the necklace or something sends out a pulse of power. That's what I picture. And while that's true, she does need to expend power every day, otherwise she'll, her mind will come apart. It's also a calling card to the Valg secretly. Like, the Valg on the Eastern Islands now know she's here, and that was very purposeful on her part. Right. And surprise, surprise, the Valg roll up. And Aelin's like,
quick.
Oh yeah, they didn't waste any fucking time. And Aelin goes, oh, well, gotta go. Looks like the Valg are coming. That's a hard problem, but don't know, since we're not allies, I guess I can't help you with that. And Rolf is rightfully furious. Like, he's like, are you fucking kidding me? You call in this problem and now you won't help me unless I give you my allegiance. But it's either give his allegiance to Aelin or let the Valg destroy his whole thing. So he sees no other option, and he agrees to fight with Aelin. Ultimately, in this war with Erewhon, he agrees to fight with Aelin in exchange for the lordship of Ilium, that old Mycenian capital, and he gets to be king of the Dead Islands. And Aelin's like, that's
sure,
perfect,
buddy.
Yeah, awesome. I love that we agree and that we could see eye to eye on this one.
Yeah, it's funny, she definitely manipulated that situation and it worked out in her favor. Again, she had a plan. She needed to kind of like take drastic measures to get to where the assistance that she needs. So,
oh yeah,
in this situation, I feel like I support her actions.
Oh yeah. Well, in this, I thought this was this felt good to me because she couldn't take any of this out on Darrow. She like really had to hold back.
Right.
So this was like, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, I was like, all right, a little bit of the old Aelin's coming through here. Which I really liked. So they make a very quick plan because it's all about to go to shit. Aelin, Rowan, Fenris, and Gavriel set sail into the harbor. Remember the harbor with the chain? We're back in Chain Harbor.
Gosh.
Yep.
The chain that is apparently large, but somehow it takes on the whole harbor or some shit.
Yeah. we don't understand it totally, but we're rolling with it. And so they set sail into the harbor on Rolf's fastest ship. And it's called the Sea Dragon, interestingly enough.
Cute.
So cute, so demure, so fun. And so in Aelin's mind, and she tells everyone else, she's like, hopefully this only costs us one ship. Like, at worst, the cost of this whole thing is going to be Rowan and I going out into the harbor, blasting them back with the magic, and no one else has to get hurt. Dorian and Adian are on either side of the bay in those towers. Remember the tower that Sam climbed up and blew up? They built a new one. They're up there. Dorian with his magic. Adian's got a giant crossbow. And Lysandra has taken the form of a sea dragon. Also, the reason they went to Ilium is so that Lysandra could see etchings of sea dragons and take on their form. Like,
Right.
genius. Literally, Sarah J Maas, genius. Aylin, genius. Like, she's got 5 different reasons for doing anything she's doing at any given time.
Yeah.
So she takes on the form of the sea dragon and is defending under the water because the Valg are also bringing sea wyverns. They've taken regular wyverns and they've said, let's go to the sea with it.
Those they have people everywhere. It's just crazy. But
yeah.
And and that's why honestly Lysandra is such a badass character and a person to have on your team, because being a shapeshifter, you already have like a great powerful player in any story and any type of situation. It could be used for good and evil, but in this situation, like, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, and I think that's why they comment on it in the story itself. Like, that's why she was kidnapped by Erewhon. That having Lysandra is an incredible power.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's doing sea dragon life, I'm like, fuck yeah, girl. So Aelin and Rowan, they get to the ship and they do their Karanamban hand slicing, holding hands, combine their powers thing. However, Aelin is wearing the amulet of Orinth, which includes a word key. This turns out to be a little bit of a mistake. She inadvertently opens up a gate, and the goddess Deanna possesses her. Like Dorian Valg style, it was like that, except it's the person or god possessing Aelin is Deanna. Deanna wields Moonfire, which up to this point, like, we have not seen. We've seen Shadowfire, we've seen Aelin's regular fire. This is all new. She wields Moonfire, and Deanna is not benevolent. Like, Deanna has got her own thing going on, and she's been waiting and watching Aelin and waiting to pounce. Remember, and this was a callback that I didn't realize until this time around. Do you remember in Throne of Glass, the first book, when a small child in that church ceremony gave her the arrow of Deanna, and Aelin was like terrified of receiving the arrow? Do you remember that?
I think so. Okay.
Yeah. It starts there. Deanna's been watching her, and Aelin's kind of been afraid of her. And you could see these moments where Deanna's brought up throughout the books, and it culminates to this. And again, I arrive at the conclusion. I'm like, Sarah J Maas, what masterful, just like little eggs across time.
True.
And so by the time you get here, it makes so much fucking sense. Sarah J Maas has been priming Aelin Deanna interaction for books, for the whole series. It blows my mind.
How do you even do that? Like, think so ahead. Like, that's kind of crazy.
I have no fucking idea, but I can't tell you. There's a ton of them I can't even tell you. There are, and I'm starting to be able to reveal more of them, like, as we get closer and closer to the end. But like, the amount of things that get set up from the very start that you don't it's crazy. So Deanna wields Moonfire, and instead of going to help them with the Valg problem, she goes to turn and destroy Rolf's town. But Rowan jumps in front of her hand and is like, Aelin, babe, let's rein it back in. Let's rein it back in. And instead of blasting the town, she kind of, like, Aelin gains some kind of control, and she moves her hand, and she explodes Rolf's ship, the ship she's standing on. And they all get flung into the water. Aelin, Rowan, Fenris, and Gavriel all get flung into the water. but they eventually swim and make it to the reefs. Fenris helps her. He has this power where he can like jump through space for small distances.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah, so he uses that to help her. It takes a lot of energy out of him. He can't do it a ton, but he could do it.
I'm thinking it's almost similar like to what's that guy who runs really fast in Marvel? The speed guy.
The Flash.
The Flash.
Is that it? I don't
Yes,
know.
the
I'm
Flash.
like I'm pulling that out of like somewhere in my brain. I don't know.
How he's able to like go through time like that, and it takes a lot out of him.
Yes,
That's
it
what
does.
It reminded me of.
Well, and I don't know. I don't really know how the Flash works. But what Fenris is doing, he's not even moving quickly from one place to another. He like it almost is like apparating. He apparates.
Okay, yeah.
So he's in one point in space and time, and then he appears in another, and appears in another, and so he helps.
Maybe more like Doctor Strange then.
Yes, sure. I've seen some Doctor Strange.
Okay.
I'm not as up on the Marvel. I've seen him do the hand thing where he brings up the circles.
Doctor Strange, but I I love Benedict Cumberbatch. So
he's nice little guy. I'm a big Tom Hiddleston fan. I like his Loki.
Yeah, he's cute as Loki.
Yeah. We could do a whole episode.
I do love Thor, so
I like Thor. He's a little bit too golden boy for me.
Okay.
He goes through his arc. Once he loses his eye and he's in Ragnarok, that I get. He's like a little bit more badass. I actually really like Captain America. He was golden boy.
Really?
And then he was golden boy. And then he did some stuff. And then he had darker hair and a beard, and I was like, "This I like later Captain America, not the beginning Captain America."
I don't like Captain America that much, but I do love Thor. I think it's like obviously the way he looks, you know. But yep. Loki has like the dark features that I do also like in a character.
Have you seen the Loki like the TV show?
No, I haven't. I've only seen him in the movies.
I need to watch it. Yeah. His attractiveness is for me heavily connected with that show.
Okay, I'm gonna watch the show then.
So you let me know how you feel about him after that.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll do a whole superhero episode at some point in the future. So they get back to the reefs, and to everyone's horror, they realize that Lysandra is taking on the sea wyverns, and she's outmatched. She kills 2 of the baby wyverns, but then that incites the grown-up wyverns.
The mama ones.
Yeah, mama wyvern. Lysandra frankly almost dies. But she gets some help from Dorian and Adian, who use their magic and the crossbow or whatever, and she prevails. And it's at a great cost to Lysandra. She's so exhausted, she can't shift out of her sea dragon form for hours. And so Aelin goes to her and apologizes profusely. And Adian kind of gives her shit for it too. And ultimately, Lysandra's okay. She shifts back to a human form hours later, and Gavriel watches kind of from the shadows as Adian picks her up and brings her back to the town. Like he's just watching his son like be a good person and is proud of him, but like can't show it. Heartbreak.
Yeah. Very emotional.
Shot through the heart. That's the song that was playing in my head when that happened. And then Rowan and Aelin have sex for the first time on the beach. Oh my God.
It only took 6 books to get here.
And also, by the way, BTW, why the beach? That seems like
very
not
out
a
there.
Great. Well, and sandy. The sand was really getting to me. The thought of, and like the waves were crashing up on them. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being an old fogey, but like
maybe I feel like being in the water would have been more helpful. But the sand, kind of.
the sand in places.
Yeah, if they can lay out a magical blanket, I think that would be nice.
If someone had like a picnic quilt or something that they could lay out, sure, that would be great. But like literally they're on the sand where the tide is meeting the shore, and like they're getting washed up and down with the water, but they're on the sand. I'm like, the two of you two idiots have been looking for the perfect place to do this for fucking months. And this is what you decide is
and it's very public. Like the whole time they were like, "Oh no, there's too many people."
Well, maybe it's an exhibitionism thing. I don't know, but I am just glad that they got there. I'm just like, I think I was so relieved that like finally that's why it got the 3 stars. I was like, oh my God.
I see. Yeah.
So, or the 3 Peppas. I just, great. I'm so glad we did this. Now, can we please keep this going, folks? Like, now you've done it. It's been so special. Do we need the perfect place every time? That's just a question I'm asking. So after this big battle, everybody rests up a bit. They all go to their rooms, and they're doing what they need to do. And then they all convene at Rolf's tavern. And Aelin, in a real show of growth, in my opinion, tells them everything about the word keys, about the lock in the stone marshes, about the visits from Brannon and Elena, the amulet of Orinth, Lorcan hunting them with things that he think is a key but isn't. And Aelin tells them that she hopes that he finds the other 2 keys, and when he realizes he has a fake, inadvertently brings them to her to come get the 3rd key. And so she lays out the full sort of mastery of her plan. And then, the badass that she is, she summons Elena in front of them all and is like, y'all are going to be witness to this shit. And she asks her about the lock. And Elena tells her that it was placed in a temple in the middle of what used to be a thriving city or town, but that the whole thing sank, and the lock with it. She says all you got to do is go to the temple in the center of the marshes to find it. And Elena reveals that her mother was Mala Firebringer, the goddess. And that's why Aelin has so much power. That is also why Dorian has so much power. Remember, Gavin Haviliard, Aelin Galathinius, they're both descendants of that. And that Mala Firebringer gave up her goddess power to become immortal out of her love for Brannon. Because they're both Dorian and Aelin are descendants of that line, they also speculate that might be why their powers work so well together. Like, remember when they held hands and did the whole explosion thing? Yeah. So lots going on. Aelin tells Rolf, now that he's on their side and he kind of under her army of people, she tells Rolf to send part of his fleet up to the coast of Terrasen, so that part of the fleet can be in at Terrasen's disposal. And then she says, give me the other part of your fleet so that we could go to the Stone Marshes. So he agrees. Some of his people are going to stay in the Dead Island. Some go to Terrasen, and the others go to the Stone Marshes with Aelin and friends. And they're underway, and they're on the water in Rolf's ship when who should roll up but Abraxas? That motherfucker has been using his wyvern wave magic to figure out where they are. He rolls up, and people almost get shot down because they're immediately suspicious. Dorian's like, stop, no, because he
sees the hair.
He sees the hair and he remembers her. And Manon is unconscious. She's not even awake anymore. And Abraxas swoops low to get Manon as close to the ship as he can, and she falls into the water. Fade to black. End of part 1. Boom shakalaka.
A couple comments. I do.
Yeah.
Finally, Aylin being able to be up front. She grew.
Yeah.
I don't know what type of clarity she received that got her to to be like, hey, let me just let all these people in on like everything I've planned out, and let's just be on the same page here. So love that for her.
Yes.
And as we knew, or kind of talked about earlier, Abraxas used his map and was able to
his little CY or his little wyvern map. I picture like a tiny map like stuck through one of his claws, and he's just checking it.
It's just
like he's got
has
spectacles
a little red dot on it,
and he's like, "Where? Oh my god,
is so funny."
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I felt so like kind of relieved in that moment that Manon is going to be able to get kind of connected with them, and we will see where that goes in part 2.
Yeah, and we'll see. I'm interested to see, and of course I don't know. I'm interested to see what Manon and Aylin are how they're gonna interact. That's gonna be very interesting to see that. So, them's are our plots and thoughts. We do have some teehee moments on the way, but why don't we cut for break? When we come back, we will go over our teehee moments.
All right.
Bye.
All right, we are back. So now we already did our plots and thoughts. Now we're going to get into our teehee moments that we always look forward to going over.
Yes, we do.
So I think I would love for you to go first.
Okay. All right. We saw Peppa, so there's some related to that. But there were some others that I had too that I think were just like really really sweet leading up to that. On page 348, Rowan is saying this to Aylin. He says, "You and I will learn to manage your power together. You do not face this alone. You do not decide that you are unlovable because you have powers that can save and destroy." Like,
I love
just
that.
The reassurance. And I think when we think about humans in everyday life, the reassurance that like, no, you're not too much. No, you're not unlovable.
Right.
You are lovable for all of the parts of you, and we will figure it out. Like, what a reassuring thing to hear. Then on page 350, Aylin says, it's Aylin and Rowan again. Aylin met Rowan's stare and said clearly and baldly and without a speckle of doubt, "I love you. I am in love with you, Rowan, and I have been for a while. And I know there are limits to what you can give me. I know you might need time." And then she gets cut off because his lips crushed into hers, and he said onto her mouth, dropping words more precious than rubies and emeralds and sapphires into her heart, her soul, "I love you. There is no limit to what I can give you, no time I need. Even when this world is a forgotten whisper of dust between the stars, I will love you."
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Dude, number 1, her being vulnerable and saying her truth. Perfect. Number 2, him returning it every bit as much. Like, I don't need time. Yeah. There is no limit. I love you more than anything. Oh, that was
a good one. That was
great. Page 351. Rowan, this is after they've done the deed. I had so many where I wanted it like during the deed, and I was like,
just put the whole page. The whole page is the teehee.
Yeah, I just was like, I don't know how explicit we want to get, but you should, if you want a teehee, really just go through that whole scene. Page 351, Rowan says, "I've never been with an equal. I've never allowed myself to be that unleashed."
Unleashed.
Number 1, I'm your equal, and number 2, you're like feral. You're like absolutely feral, and I'm okay.
Wow.
Okay. And then on 352, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's this whole moment where they both affirm for each other. Like, basically, they're like, Rowan starts and he's like, "You're mine," and she's like, "I'm yours," and then she's like to him, "You are mine," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I am yours," and they reaffirm that. The sex scene, okay, so this one is a little bit explicit, but not too badly. So on page 356, it says, "She was trembling, and so was Rowan, as he remained in her. He buried his face in the crook of her neck and her shoulder, his uneven breathing warming her skin. He said, 'I never,' he tried, voice hoarse. 'I didn't know it could be.' She ran her fingers down his back over and over. 'I know,' she breathed. 'I know.'" Number one, you can't even form a coherent sentence. And you know that what he's about to say is, "I didn't know it could be like this." Like, you've lived for hundreds of years.
Literally.
And you never knew that sex could be this good as it is.
Wow.
With Aelin.
Patting my back.
Yeah. Like, good work, everybody. Good job. Great work, Aelin. Your game is great. We love it. Then 356, and I swear to God, this list does end, but there were so many good ones. 356, Rowan says, "That was the first time I really lost control around you, you know. I wanted to chuck you off a cliff, yet I bit you before I knew what I was doing. I think my body knew, my magic knew. And you tasted," Rowan loosed a jagged breath, "so good. I hated you for it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I'd wake up at night and with that taste on my tongue, wake up thinking about your foul, beautiful mouth."
Wow. I'm already into the biting. So.
Oh yeah. My blood tastes so good that it has you up at night. And you're thinking things. Okay. And then I have two more, and then I'm done. I gave you the full list today. I can't help myself.
We're relishing in it.
Yeah, listen, y'all. It has been a long time leading up to this. Let us have this. 358. When they'd finished after that first time, he'd been left reeling to pull his sanity back together after the joining that had unleashed him, broken and remade him. His magic had been a song, and she had been ... He never had anything like her. Everything he'd given her, she'd given him right back. Dude, wow. My lovin' unmade you and broke you and remade you. And
what type of power do I got that?
Yeah. That I'm doing all that.
Wow.
All that. Yeah.
I love just the way it's described, you know? It's
dude,
crazy.
He was destroyed by this. And
if
you tell me that
his sanity together, like I drove you that crazy.
I drove you absolutely mad. Okay, I'll take it. He's gone mad.
Oh gosh.
Oh dude.
Funny.
Okay, all right. And then the last one is, we're just so giddy to be here. Page 360, it says, "A dangerous time for any fey male when they first took a lover. Worse when it meant something more." He goes into full fey male protective mode. I get into it. I get into that stuff. So,
wow.
Hell yeah. It was a big crop.
Yeah, I do love all of those teehee moments. They're very nice.
Yeah, Yarlin, sure. How about yourself? What was now that I've got on a full dissertation?
I have a handful.
I love this.
Page 68. "I can't let you go. You can and you will." Rowan traced her mouth. "When you find me again, we will have that night. I don't care where or who is around." He pressed a kiss to her neck and said onto her rain-slick skin, "You are my fire heart." I love that he calls her that. I love that nickname. I think I've loved it throughout the whole time he's been introduced. So I like that one.
I did. You, number one, you give me a little nickname and you call me by it. Check-a-rooney.
Yeah.
Number two, I don't care where or who is around. You don't give a shit.
I mean, it makes sense. They did it at the beach, so they did not care who or where it was.
No, he said, I'm claiming you, girl. And
He's
it's
like,
like, wow.
I'm tired of putting this off.
Which, same, bro. Like,
same.
let's be clear, we as readers are over the waiting for the perfect moment in time. Let's get it rolling here, folks. So I'm on board.
Yes. Page 93. These past weeks have been torture, the need to claim her, taste her, driving him out of his wits. He's gone mad.
He's gone mad. We're all mad here. Oh my God.
I just love the fact that, like, you're just like out of your wits, like wanting me. Like that is how every person should be reacting. So
yeah, pretty much. Like, if I give you a look across the room, if you're not going mad to claim me and taste me, like, what even is happening?
Right.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
If that's not where we're starting, I don't even want it.
So that was a good one.
That was excellent.
Page 133. Aylin is my heart. I taught her what I knew, and it worked because our magics understand each other deep down, just as our souls did. So this, I like this one because this was one that he was talking to Dorian with, when they were talking about, like, you know, the magic stuff and him teaching him. But I love that he, like, still talked about, you know, his girl, you know, and how much they mean to each other.
Kept her in mind the whole time. And I love that their magic plays together. Like, I don't think it's any mistake that his powers are wind and ice and hers are fire. Like, right. He is the, you know, ice to her fire. And I love that shit.
Yeah, it was a nice one. Yeah. In page 283, he says, even if Maeve had kept me enslaved, I would have fought her every day, every hour, every breath. He missed her softly and said onto her lips, I would have fought for the rest of my life to find a way to return to you again. I knew it the moment you emerged from the valve, darkness, and smiled at me through your flames. I love that, you know, he would have fought that whole time for me.
Oh, and like every minute, every hour, every breath, you would have fought for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, bear man.
That takes some power, you know, to fight against Maeve,
So yeah, and you're going to use all that for me. Okay, boy. All right.
And then page 284, so like that's the next page over. Even when you're in another kingdom, Aylin, your fire is still in my blood, my mouth. Rowan claimed her mouth again and kissed her deeply in the moonlight.
Oh my God. My fire is in your blood. Like every part of you is consumed by me.
The details are just so beautiful.
And he's such like an unapologetic simp for her. Like he's like, you are everything. And I'm still strong and I'm out here doing badass shit, but you are it, girl.
And we love when someone can express that, you know?
Oh yeah.
So my last one is the same scene, you know, kind of that whole you are mine, I am yours, to whatever end.
Oh, the to whatever end part.
I do love that to whatever end part. And that is my list of teehees.
Girl, we received and comparable to other things. We've been starved for the last several books.
Yeah.
We received what amounts to a feast. Now, we've been starved. So, you know, it could be just like a Sammy and some chips, but we haven't been fed in so long that it feels like a feast. Hunger's the best sauce, as they say. And so we've been hungry for it, and finally 'twas delivered.
Yeah. And even just like those like swoon worthy moments and like the moments that weren't even like super like sexual and stuff. Like it's just those romantic moments where it really got me with Rowan.
Agreed. He's not afraid to say the thing. He's not like, now that if you think of like Era Fire Rowan, he's so grumpy and cagey. This is like Rowan busted open. Like he's like, You are my fire heart. You are my beginning and my ending, my undoing and my remaking. And I am here for that shit. Hey, Rowan never change, boy.
I love him. I can't wait to see like kind of the end of the series and like where all the characters leave off at.
Yeah. Same.
But we will get there. We will get there. We're 2 books away.
Well, yeah, after Empire of Storms, there's Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash.
Right. Oof.
And then we're gonna be, girl, I have so many thoughts and feelings about the second half of Empire of Storms, and I cannot wait to share them.
We will be sharing them very soon.
Yes, agreed. Mm-hmm.
Now to kind of get into our therapy deep dive. So the first half of Empire of Storms is an emotional journey, physical journey. We see kind of all the things that these characters are going through. And it has a vast amount of emotional suppression, trauma flashbacks, power imbalances, and interpersonal dysfunction. So kind of the way I want to go about it is going through kind of each of the main characters here and some of the things that they are showing, like based off like their symptoms and things like that, and kind of some of the things that they're going through. So with Aylin, she does exhibit traits of complex PTSD. So from all the trauma that she's been through, the loss of her family, slavery, torture, betrayal, she avoids vulnerability, as we see very often, by over-functioning and controlling her environment, where it's like she doesn't communicate with other people because she feels like she needs to be in control as a way to protect others. So her refusal to share these burdens with her court, it's a defense mechanism of trying to protect people. If no one gets close, no one can die because of her. So again, a way to protect others. And she also shows the survivor's guilt that we mentioned, I believe, in the last book as well, where she reflects on the lives that were lost in either because of her responsibility or kind of things that she kind of went through. And a quote that she says is, "If I fall, the world falls with me." And that's, it's a moment of a response to what she's been through before. And again, a way for her to keep that control of like, I need to make sure I'm doing all the steps I need to take and we succeed in this, because if not, everything will fall to pieces. So she doesn't really find much time to rest or kind of enjoy the parts of the things, even though they're going through hard time. Like there's not much things to enjoy, maybe just the beach scene, but she just has that core wound of, if I don't save everyone, I'm not worthy of being saved.
Yes, I love that you highlight this, because it's hinging your worth on being able to protect people in a world where you don't have total control. And that's, I think, a thing you could see in counseling as well, is folks saying, even if you have someone who, is self-injurious, or somebody who is, everyone's a active player in their life. And I see a lot of guilt from folks, like if someone else gets hurt, a lot of times in situations where the person doesn't have a lot of control over that, they're still like, well, I could have done something different, or I could have, like, how could I have helped more or kept them from this? And I think Aylin really struggles, and a lot of people struggle with the idea that it's like, if you're a, consenting adult who is, is cognitively able to make decisions, that other people are deciders in your sphere, and you can't protect them from everything, and the harms that befall people in this world are not yours to own. And I think Aylin is owning all of it. She's like, I feel responsible for everybody in my sphere, and if one of them gets hurt, it's like unacceptable to her.
Yeah, and I like that you point out that fact where it's like, you can't make the decisions for everyone, because everyone does have the right to do that in their own life.
And to have like full consent, and in this case, like with Aylin and friends, like I would like to know all what's going on so that I can in full knowledge consent to what I'm about to do. You
Yeah,
by being arbiter of the facts, I don't get to fully like consent to what it is I'm doing. You're just expecting me to go along with whatever it is you're doing. And I don't think
right.
that's very fair.
Yeah, and and mentally prepare for those things. If we're gonna be going and saving a town, I should be able to mentally prepare for like the battle, or like,
Mm.
being able to be like war ready or whatever. So like there's definitely like moments where it's like you just have to understand the other person's kind of like feelings, and like give them the control for the things that they are going to be part of. So that was
Yeah.
Aelin. Now we have Rowan. So his behavior does have like his specific like attachment style seems a bit disorganized. Like he wants to be close with Aelin, but he does fear losing her in the same way he lost his past mate Lyria. So he attempts to balance the trust and distance, but Aelin's emotional walls kind of brings up old wounds and things like that. So he definitely, I mean, I feel like from the events that we, their closeness as it's continuing to get better, and after the sex scene and all of that, obviously they're at a different point. But he's someone who's been through a lot, and he's like not being able to process it too well, but he expresses himself as much as he can. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of what he was trying to battle in the beginning of their closeness and their initial relationship, but they're at a different level now.
Well, and I think too, it's important to note that their closeness doesn't mean that there's still not things unsaid between them, right? Like
True.
so much of this has been unveiled between them. Like there's so much that they're sharing now. It's so much better than Air of Fire. Like they've come so far, and you can still see both of them pulling back in moments due to their past, and trying to process what that means in the context of their relationship.
Yeah, and you know, now with Manon, like something that we've discussed a lot with her is kind of that emotional detachment, dissociation, kind of being raised in that environment of violence and control. She's been conditioned to suppress her emotions entirely, and now she definitely starts to experience some moral dissonance. So kind of choosing mercy, protecting her 13, kind of her values are changing here. And things definitely, she's definitely going to have a lot of like self exploration and figuring out who she is, who she wants to be, um, compared to kind of the toxic beliefs that she had um, her whole life, by her grandmother.
Mhm.
So now it's kind of like the reparenting of herself and being able to know who she wants to be. Now, kind of recognizing her Croken queen kind of uh, image. So also that Croken father moment was an impactful moment for her in her character arc. And something that I wrote down of what her grandma said was, his despair was delicious when I told him what I'd done to her, what I would make you into, not a child of peace but war. And then, as we can remember, Manon says to herself many times throughout the books, made, made, made. So it's like that
Mm.
voice in her head that after different scenarios, it kind of brings up that question of like, she was made this way. She isn't actually born this way. She was made to be this way. So reinforcing that she was made this way by her grandmother, by those kind of the sick ways that she was taking her evilness out onto her, and
Mm.
not the way that she should have been.
Yeah, and the maid part, it almost is like the matron's giving herself away finally. Like yes, she's spewing all this information to hurt Manon, but like ultimately she's confirming what Manon has been questioning for a while. And so hearing it from her mouth, I think we can, if we draw connections to the real world space, often, it can be really hard if you're under a toxic or abusive influence, especially growing up. It can be hard to tease out someone's psychological games, and how important it can be when someone who's being abusive or controlling or toxic finally gives themselves away a little bit with the shit they say. And it's like, it can create just enough dissonance to be like, wait a second, you're admitting, you know what I mean? Like, you're admitting, or you're saying it. It can help us, get some evidence. And I think it helps Manon get some evidence for, like, oh yeah, this is a big toxic game to my grandmother, and I don't have to play it anymore. And I think that's exactly what she's choosing.
Yeah. So I love Manon, and I feel like she's definitely my favorite character in these books.
Oh, okay.
Um, I love the witch lore and all of that, but I love her as kind of a character. I mean, Aylin's great and all that, but there's just something about Manon that I feel there's just like a deeper thing there that I feel like
Mm,
I connect with a lot. So I I love the way that her character arc is going, and I hope to see that, things will continue to kind of go in her favor and she could be who she wants to be. So
hell yeah. I love that.
with Lysandra, so, with her, we do see kind of a blend of like that self empowerment, emotional displacement, and that her past of the sexual exploitation leads to the complex body trauma, things that she's been to,
Mm,
which it's interesting to see that as a shapeshifter, you are becoming other people, becoming other things, also like almost another way of having more body kind of out of your control, but then also part of your control. So it can definitely be confusing for
mm.
her and very tiring. It takes it all out of her. But, I think it's something that she's learning through and being able to kind of reclaim that agency over her body that was once weaponized against her.
Yes. This it's the empowerment piece for me. It's the being able to decide what to do with my body and how to look. And she changes her Lysandra appearance, her human appearance. And we know that even how she looks, her human form is a construction. She shifted when she was young into a prettier child because she recognized that prettier children get more, resources or food or whatever. And she can't remember what she actually looked like as a kid.
Yeah.
She said she was quite plain, but there's she's been locked into this body that's hers and not hers. And what I like is, even she like reduces the size of her breasts. She changes the length of her hair. She, in small and big ways, is deciding what to do with her body. And I think I see connections even between her and Dorian. They're both deciding to do with their bodies what they like, um, as a way to express themselves and to decide who they want to be. And I love that you highlight how tiring that work can be. And I think if we take this to the counseling space, folks who are practicing getting some body autonomy, and body liberation, which is a big thing that I believe in. It can be a lot of emotional work to decide, like, how do I want to dress? How do I want to treat my body? How do I want to have relationship with my body? And that whole thing, the whole healing of that, can take some time and emotional effort.
Yeah, for sure. So it's interesting to see, and and even in these events that occur with her becoming the sea wyvern and all of that, like she was in immense danger, but she was there to help,
Mm,
and be part of the team. So it's interesting to see her kind of ways about. So with Adian, I know we spoke a little bit about this earlier, kind of about that at least I kind of clocked that, abandonment, kind of attachment thing that I noticed like with his father,
mm,
and being able, I mean, that's like one element of it. There's also the part of like Aelin being bonded with Rowan, and that kind of something that he wasn't able to do. Like that's what he wanted, and now that's kind of out of the not something that I mean, he's still able to have the bond, but the blood bond, but he wanted to be like the first one. But so I see some of those things kind of parts of abandonment and parts where it's like he felt like maybe not good enough or any type of recognition or anything like that. So that pride and that thing that he has to mask really can get tiring, and I definitely noticed that more about him specifically.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways, it, he's struggling to kind of figure out who he is in this whole equation, where he has
Mm-hmm.
power, and the stuff, even with Aelin, like as we've mentioned, to me, he seems to be especially affected by the she's not telling me things stuff. Um, and I wonder how much that has to do with the fact that I can imagine learning about your father and this whole thing might leave you feeling kind of adrift. So him being able to navigate this instability is a big part of him being able to decide kind of who he wants to be in this court and in this story.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see where kind of he goes with the court and maybe like being able to kind of have that self worth or being able to define like who he is, aside from like some of the things that he wasn't able to accomplish.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's like the daddy issues, you know. Um,
Yes, it's the daddy issues of it all.
and then we have a lead, which I feel like we've become kind of interested in her character, because she kind of presents kind of a complex trauma response, particularly a fawn survival. So,
Mhm.
um, we hear a lot about like fight or flight, and then we also have the fawn. So that's being able she tries to remain small, agreeable, and unnoticed to stay safe. Like we've seen in kind of multiple situations where she blends in as like the laundress or like the baker or something, and like moments like that
Mm.
where she has to kind of like do that as a way to like not draw too much attention but find her way kind of through those things. And there is we do know that she is clever and calculating and brave in her own way, and that's being able to sharpen her instincts. Like she forages in the forest, like she's able to get through. So I think also we see that maybe a little bit with that relationship that she has with Lorcan, where it's like being able to see kind of like the ability of someone protecting her, and without the control. So that's something that I feel like is she's experiencing maybe for the first time, or learning more about how their relationship will kind of blossom from here. So I think I'm interested in seeing how that goes, like we talked about
Mm.
that earlier.
Yeah, and I love the opportunity to talk about fawning because I think this is a trauma response that often doesn't get as much airtime. It's like, oh, there's fight, flight, and freeze, and I think people mistake fawning as complicity. Like, oh, I'm signing up for whatever's about to happen because I'm trying to like placate somebody, and it is so not that. So recognizing that her coping mechanism is a valid instinct, um and that she's using her abilities and her wits to try and get out of these situations. I think there's a lot of application for people in the day-to-day space that if your automatic response is fawning, that's valid, and survival there is a survival component to things like fawning.
Yeah. So it was interesting to see that part of her. So,
Mm,
and then we have Dorian. We've talked about Dorian throughout
mm,
kind of these events, and a quote that I wrote down here of something that he says. It just truly brings you to the place of where he is mentally. So he says, or at least it's saying, maybe his dreams would always be haunted by that demon prince's hissing voice. Maybe he would always wake up with his sweat feeling like Sorsha's blood on him, like Aylin's blood as he stabbed her. So he's continuing to kind of have these memories and dreams, nightmares. You know, he's definitely at a place of kind of experiencing those things. And I just feel so bad for him. He's having a hard time dealing with his actions and the things that occurred while under the Val Prince's control. And it'll take him some time to process and move on from that. So I feel for him. My heart goes out to him.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah. So kind of a bit of like reflection of like where these characters have been, you know, throughout the, I would say, the first half of this book. So they are deeply in coping and being able to get through the events that they're getting through. They're not at their healing era right now. Their behaviors are adapted, like shaped by war, betrayal, and personal loss, but they haven't confronted like their eternal wounds in any sustainable way, because they still have goals to meet. They still have things that they need to do. They're not at a standstill or at a place of calm to be able to kind of address some of those things. So, you know, obviously if this was a counseling space, like it wouldn't, this stage that they're in, it wouldn't be for like deep reprocessing. It would just kind of be like building the safety to be able to talk about these things and acknowledge what they went through. So building up that like relational trust, emotional literacy. A good amount of them could be able to learn a little bit more on expressing their emotions and recognizing their emotions. But they are in survival mode. These are high stakes going on here. So it's understandable of like where they're at right now.
Yeah. And I think as counselors, we have the opportunity to reflect on how much people can give us, like how much emotional labor can someone pour in if they're in survival mode. Probably not much. And we try to be as sort of tuned into that as we possibly can be, and to help people recognize that you may want to do some deep emotional labor and processing, and you might be in a place in life where you're not able to fully go into it. So it's okay to like go for survival for a bit until you can get to a spot where there's deeper emotional, content.
Yeah. So that is where we're at with therapy deep dive in like this like first half of the book. And we will explore the second half in our next episode.
Yes. Okay. So some final remarks and some shout outs. First and foremost, as always, we are firstly counselors, and so we want to check in mental health wise. If any of today's topics were triggering or upsetting, there was a lot of stuff brought up, please make sure to seek out individualized mental health treatment. And remember that this podcast is just for fun. It's based on our opinions and experiences, and it should not be used to diagnose, assess, or treat mental health conditions. Our next episode, out on October 22nd, will cover part 2 of Empire of Storms. So if you're in the midst of your read, we will be back to review the rest of that. And if you would like to support us or interact with us, please make sure to subscribe and rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram at FayandFablesPod. You can email us at fayandfablespod@gmail.com. And we have merch. So if you want some merch, if you want to be repping Faye and Fables out in the world, check out our link in our Instagram bio for information on our Etsy site. And I think that's it, girl.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we had a great time today.
Oh, it was raucous. It was raucous today. We were ready and raring to go.
Yes. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.